Kirk, thanks for joining us tonight. Appreciate it. It's good to have you on Reality Check. I guess we're going to talk to you about your life as much as you're willing to share. You know, if you've watched any of the other interviews so far, I do ask people to get a little bit uncomfortable sometimes.
Oh yeah.
You know, we get a little vulnerable.
I've watched them all, and I've been telling myself, hey, I like this format. I think it's pretty sweet. Not only for that reason, but it's getting me to know my cousins a little bit better that I haven't seen for quite a while. You know, I think about it. I haven't seen Vard since I moved out of living with him. I haven't seen Wesley basically since we've graduated college almost, except for here and there.
Yeah.
So pretty fun.
I had some feedback from Damien even tonight saying how much he appreciated the format as well, because I think that it's like we talked about with other folks who talk about it with you too tonight is I think we know each other and we think that we love each other and whatnot, but you know, our conversations very often are surface, and they don't give us or our cousins a chance to really know who we are. And you know, Damien told me tonight that he learned things, and he hasn't watched Laren's yet, and he hasn't watched Cody's yet, but he's learned things about everybody that he didn't know and is glad to know. And he wants to do one. I've been getting some feedback from Case. He hasn't said, hey, I want to do it, but I can tell that he does.
Yeah. So
Case, I know you're going to watch this interview, and so if we haven't interviewed you yet, just get ready.
Yeah, that's awesome. You know, I actually, funny thing, I saw TD today at the car wash. I got off work a little bit early, and I haven't washed my pickup since probably December. So I got there, and he was just getting onto his lunch break. So we were talking for just a couple minutes, and I told him that I was going to be doing this interview with you tonight. And you know, he said that he was looking forward to his chance, and I was like, honestly, TD, I don't think I've ever had a conversation with Uncle Tim in my lifetime. Like, I don't think I've had the opportunity to actually converse with you face to face, or you know, have you ask me questions, have me ask you questions ever in my lifetime.
It's been mostly like pass the chips. Yep. Or hey, how you doing?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for this.
Me too. When I originally started it, I mean, it's ballooned into something else. When I originally started it, it was just a chance for me to, because I want to know all you guys better, you know.
Yep.
And I just thought, you know, especially when I started talking to Vard in the beginning, I thought a lot of people can benefit from knowing everybody better. So, and this will give everybody, and people are loving it. So, awesome. I'm certain that they're gonna check this one out too, which is good. So you're working. Give me the rundown. I know weren't you working with Napa for a while?
No.
Oh, you weren't.
Napa.
Okay. So I got misinformation from Tina.
So this is going to be interesting. This is something that I don't think many people know. So after I graduated from BYU, Idaho, so I am a crop advisor. I work for a fertilizer and chemical company as a salesman for them, basically advising farmers on what to use to grow their crops.
Gotcha.
And then I also am a part owner of a consulting business.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Now you say you're a part owner. Who are you in business with?
I'm in business with Brandon Jinks.
Okay.
He's one of our Jinks's boys. And he and I consult dairies on their nutrient management plan from the state, how to implement that, and then use correct agronomy practices in order to apply basically the cow manure and byproducts from the cow to their fields and that sort of thing.
Do you ever get down to Utah?
Not yet. So we just started. We officially made an LLC last year, and and we're looking to expand. Right now, we've got 2 dairies that we work with, and if Brandon and I weren't so busy with our other jobs, we would be expanding it quite a bit more. It's still pretty preliminary, and we're, well, not preliminary in the sense of a business, but we are still looking to grow, I should say. So
well, if you
in Utah?
get down, well, if you get down to northern Utah, my brother runs it. It's probably small by comparison to some of the dairies you work with, but I think he's milking maybe close to 500 head now.
Nice.
But yeah, he does some interesting things, so it might be worthwhile if you get that down that way to swing in and see if he'd have a chit chat with you.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. So that's just getting off the ground. Yeah. Okay. So you're still doing the field advising?
Yeah, but that is my main source of income. My main work is I'm a crop advisor for a fertilizer and chemical company. It's called Valley Ag. They recently purchased the independent company that I was working for, and so now we are part of, or I guess their envelope or their command.
Oh, okay. So is there anybody involved in that I know? I mean, I guess you wouldn't know that unless they're local, but
no, this is really their first. This is Valley Ag's very first operation here in Washington. They're mainly in Idaho and a little bit in northern Utah and the Willamette Valley of Oregon.
Cool.
So they've wanted to get into the Columbia Basin, and when the opportunity came up to buy the company I was working for, they jumped on it, and my previous boss liked it, so liked the offer they gave him, so decided to merge on with them, I guess, become Valley Ag.
So you like what you're doing?
I do. I really do.
You're sort of born and bred for this, I guess. Right?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. Like, I didn't always want to be doing this.
What did you want to do?
So
play baseball?
Well, that's a good question, I guess.
We'll get back to that. What did you want to do?
So after I broke my leg in high school in a football game, I wanted to be something to do with physical therapy. I wanted to eventually open up or be involved with some type of sports medicine practice. But then once I got into college, about my second year after my mission, getting into a lot of the core classes, more of the kinesiology, stuff like that. Even though I enjoyed working and doing the stuff with my hands, like taping and doing that kind of stuff, I kind of started to see in the industry, for me and what I wanted to do, was going to be really, really hard. And I didn't want to take that task on. I guess to go down that road, I saw more of it being working with geriatrics, somebody that has a knee replacement, hip replacement, start, teaching them how to walk again and stuff like that. And I just didn't want to do that, go down that road. And so then I decided to transfer schools, leave BYU Provo, and went up to BYU Idaho and went into the ag program there.
Interesting. Now, I'll bet you, I didn't know that. And I'll bet you 95% of the people that are going to watch this didn't know that either.
Yeah.
So
I think only a couple.
Yeah. Your parents.
Well, not Vard and Wesley. I think most of the cousins that were around me in BYU Idaho, I explained that to them.
Sure.
But for the most part, whoever else doesn't know that about me now will.
Family's getting big.
Yeah, it is. It's exciting. Like, I was watching your video of the cemetery.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know why I didn't hear about that going on. I usually get.
I know why.
Oh, what did my dad say?
No, we found out why. There was a bunch of people that didn't hear about it. But it was not because of neglect or leaving people out. Although it makes it makes making the video more challenging because, you know, I'm basically making this video. Hey, look at all this family. It was cool. And the video was cool and stuff. But I didn't know that people were not invited specifically because they didn't feel they needed as much help this time.
Oh.
So Rhonda sent the invite out, and I believe that she cut it off somewhere just north of Basin City, because nobody, Moses Lake, nobody up there heard about it. And the problem is, you know, at the end of the video, when I'm like, hey, if you didn't have a chance to be here, you know, you really missed out. Well, I got a lot of feedback from people saying, it's not my fault, I wasn't there, you know. And I had to say, hey, yo, bro, I did not plan this thing. I just made the video. Okay.
Yep, definitely.
But but it was good. I mean, it was a good time. As you can see, there's a lot of work done, and it's going to be beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it's fantastic.
Absolutely. It's going to be great. I've been helping my dad here and there with stuff down there. I mean, that's where my Eagle project was also. And so just seeing it develop and grow, it's been pretty awesome. And then, I mean, just the feedback from the community, also people that I know and know our family, and, you know, interact with them. And you never want to bring up death, especially with people of the younger generation, because they have so much life to live. But, you know, I think a lot of people in the area really, really are happy that something like that is there for our community.
For sure. Yep. Dying ain't much of a living, boy.
That's true.
So are you hunting still? You hunt?
Yep.
You go elk hunting?
I haven't been elk hunting in a couple of years. I think it's because I'm falling more in love with mule deer.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's consumed me, and I'm kind of glad my wife isn't hearing this, but she knows already that I love to hunt mule deer.
What is it about mule deer that gets your blood pumping?
To me, they are just a really fascinating animal.
Yeah.
Elk are still really cool. I think I mean, I still go out and I will look at elk and I'll scout for elk, but I think for mule deer, you're more isolated, and I tend to want to hunt more solo now, which can be hard and difficult, especially on the mind of my wife. She definitely worries about that and worries about me doing that.
Are you archery hunting or rifle?
Both.
Okay.
So I've gotten into both. I wouldn't have been archery hunting if it wasn't for my dad, you know, and how much he liked archery hunting. So I do both. I like being kind of by myself, allowing me to put my talents and learn also at the same time what I'm capable of, and also what an animal's tendencies are. And I think that's why I kind of gravitate more towards mule deer. So
you think they're smarter?
Yeah, I think they're a little bit smarter. The seasons are different also, just because in September elk are so rut crazy and driven. All they want to do is make noise. Well, it's getting harder and harder nowadays for that anyways, but they just want to make noise. They want to, you know, do what they want to do in September to keep it
okay to say it. They want to have
sex. You never know what little cousins are going to watch this, Uncle Tim.
That's true. You're right. I'll bleep that out.
Yeah. But I think because of that, mule deer's rut is just extended longer, and so they're more isolated, and therefore it's harder to pattern them. And I enjoy that challenge. I enjoy trying to find mule deer and figure out what they're trying to do.
Interesting. So Yeah, I've heard stories from guys that have seen muleys do weird stuff. Like,
Mm-hmm.
when I was growing up, they always told us that that deer, animals like that, they don't reason, but I beg to differ. The way that they act, sometimes the way that they hide.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see this, but I heard a hunter talk about, maybe I read this in Outdoor Life or something, but he talked about watching a muley that it was being hunted. I think it had been shot at a couple of times, so it was spooked. But he watched it from a distance. He was glassing a valley, and he watched it put its antlers back along its body and crawl into a culvert pipe.
Really?
To hide, which is, that's reasoning.
They're smart.
Yeah.
Like, it's interesting. They call them, their nickname for a mule deer is the gray ghost.
Oh, really?
Once they come out of their summer coats, in the summer they're more red or orangish, so you can see them pretty easy. Once they lose that summer coat, it's gray.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in like sagebrush or like a high country basin, they get hard to see, and so they are known for doing some pretty random stuff also. And just like you said,
You get up against the rocks, they're probably really hard to spot, huh?
Yep, they are. Maybe that's one of the challenges that I like, is I like trying to find them in those natural, scenarios, or there's those natural environments that they want to be in. And I can't see them all, but they're pretty, when you do find one, it's pretty awesome.
You ever done any bear hunting?
Not yet. I've been putting in every year for bear tags, trying to draw one down in Idaho so I can go hunt with my father-in-law. But no luck yet.
I used to hunt deer more. I haven't been hunting in a few years now, but once I went bear hunting, then I really learned how to hunt.
Really?
It was amazing to me, bear hunting, how many deer I saw.
Oh yeah.
Because of the tactics we were using, and the stealth that we were using to try to bait a bear. There was this particular bear we were trying to get. It's the one I killed, but
okay.
It was with, do you remember Jerry Crom?
Sounds familiar. I don't know if I remember him.
He was a guide in Alaska for a lot of years. He lived in Basin City, okay. And one year up near Dayton, I developed a friendship with him because he was coming to church and I was a gospel doctrine teacher, and I don't know, we kind of hit it off, and there was a blackie that was people were finding tracks in their gardens, and it was coming down and doing more things than they were comfortable with. And so we went up to get him, and man, he was old, but he was elusive. We tried baiting him with bacon and honey and all kinds of things. We would sit at the top of the draws at night or during the morning to let the wind take our scent, or the scent of our bait, down these draws. He wasn't biting. We would go to the bottom at night because the wind would come back up, carry that scent. But as we were hunting, we kept finding his tracks everywhere. I mean, we knew we were in the right area, and there was a sow that was there with a cub, and sometime during that 3 or 4 days, that cub had gotten killed by some drunk guys. And so the sow was around, and she was, looking for her cub at that time. But the old guy, he stayed. It's the reason he got so old, I guess, is because he knew how to hide. But in fact, we wouldn't even, all of our efforts were pointless, except that we knew where he was going. And so finally, eventually, we just sat on the side of a hill and glassed down into this valley, and we wouldn't even have seen him then, and if his arm hadn't appeared up in a tree pulling tree branches down, because he was getting some of the fruit.
Holy cow.
But during that process, we crawled in some of the overbrush that the bear had hollowed out, where, it was stupid in retrospect thinking about it, but
chasing a bear down a hole.
Oh yeah, dumb, because there was fresh kill in there.
Wow.
Yeah, there was bones and there was fresh kill, and it stunk, but I was amazed. I thought I knew how to hunt deer until I went bear hunting, and then I realized, oh, this is why I'm only successful half the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, we saw so many deer; it was unbelievable. And I learned quite a bit from my dad and my brother, but man, nothing like Jerry Crom. Jerry Crom's like, of course, he's hunting Alaska, so
Yeah, when you do it for a living, you have so much more knowledge. So that's awesome. You had that opportunity to do that with him.
I probably wouldn't even have got the shot if he hadn't let me shoot it.
So did he have a tag as well?
We both had tags.
Yep. So he's being nice.
Oh, he's being real nice. He's a cool guy. He was a really cool guy. I feel I don't know where he's at today, but I kind of feel bad about the way I lost track of him. But yeah, he's got stories from Alaska that would make your blood curdle.
That's on my bucket list.
Yeah, it would be fun. Here's what I think would be fun. Maybe this is my proposal. Maybe this is my throwdown to you.
Mm-hmm.
We should try to pull a brownie tag for Alaska and go out to Kodiak or something like that and kill something big. Like
that'd be
big.
Like a 12-foot bear.
something that requires, my 45-70, not a bow and arrow. Don't get me wrong.
You're wanting a close encounter at that point.
Well, I didn't ever used to be a fan of bow hunting, probably because I was too chicken. I was afraid to have to get that close to an animal, but I want to kill him from a distance, especially a bear. But man, I watched some of the guys on YouTube that are killing bear with bow and arrow, and geez, very effective.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Gotta have a good setup for that.
So where is your home located right now?
So right now we live in Moses Lake.
Okay. All right.
But it's kind of funny you mentioned earlier, Aunt Brenda or Aunt Rhonda had just sent it out to people that are the invitation to the cemetery thing with just around Basin City, and the office that I work out of is in Basin City.
Oh, really?
So
had you heard that it was going on at all?
No,
from your dad?
I hadn't, but that's the thing that was a little bit odd is my dad usually tells me what's going on. I've gone over there to dig multiple graves. I was there just a week and a half ago helping him with the wall. So now
he may have been the one that told her.
Oh.
Because I know that she reached out to Ivan and your dad to find out, what kind of help they needed and whatnot. And I'm certain that instruction came from one of them. So,
well, at the same time, maybe it's good for some of the younger or other cousins that haven't had that opportunity to work on, the cemetery ground.
Well, it was cool. The little Hales kids were all there, and it was really, and don't get me wrong, it was good for the females too, but it was fun to see those little boys out there working, you know, and getting some memories. And you'll see this on the video when you watch it, but I was a big fan of the Hales boys because their hats they were wearing boonie hats.
Yep.
All of them were wearing camouflage boonie hats, and I thought that was cool because it was just like mine that I was wearing too. So.
Yep, I heard that.
Oh, you watched it? Okay.
I did. Yep, I've watched every one of the videos. Every one.
Oh, I did. Okay, all right. I guess I didn't know you'd seen the. Yeah, that guy. Okay.
I kind of at the end of the day, I kind of checked and make sure, or just check and see if you posted anything. So.
Yeah. Good.
Want to know what's going on in the family.
You could subscribe.
I am.
Okay, good.
I don't think I have the
little bell click. Yeah. Actually, I'm the same way, right? I swore off Facebook forever, and it was just when I kicked up Picture It that decided I need to get on Facebook. Yeah. And but it's funny because and don't get me wrong, like I love having quote unquote friends and whatnot, but I mean they're not real friends, but friends. but you have to turn off notifications. Otherwise you don't ever get anything done.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, where'd you meet your wife?
So I met my wife here in Moses Lake at Singles Ward.
Oh,
So
I see. I think they made a movie about that.
yeah. She came up here to play basketball at Big Bend Community College, and I was here living with Vard working. So I think
I think I remember this story.
You think so? I mean, we knew each other for over a year before we started dating. I was even dating other girls before then, so just didn't work out. And then happened to take Callie on a date, and well, I mean, we knew each other for that year before, and so we had already become good friends and knew each other fairly well, but started dating and then dated for about a month. She broke up with me, and then we were broken up for a month, and then she wanted to get back together, and we started dating. But we both knew if we started dating again that it was going to get serious, and it did, and that's how we were able to eventually get married, I guess.
Why'd she break up with you?
Probably multiple reasons, and I know she'll listen to this, so I'm going to try to cover all of them.
Were you not moving towards marriage fast enough, or vice versa?
No, she was young. She was young. She was afraid that one reason was she was afraid that it was going to affect her life in the sense that she wasn't going to play basketball anymore. She had gotten some pressure from her dad that, hey, if you go down this road, you're not going to play basketball anymore. Your life is going to change. She had some other ideas of what she wanted to do, like go to a different school with one of her best friends and go and do that. So she had a couple different reasons why she wanted to break up. I think the main one was she probably just wasn't ready.
Mm-hmm. Did she know that so she knew she wasn't ready at that time?
Yeah, but then a month later, she's like, well, I want to give it another shot. I think she knew that she wanted to be serious, but I think she knew that she didn't want to move towards marriage that quick.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we dated for 6 to 8 months, I think it was, before I even proposed to her. So, but we knew that once we got back together, it was getting serious.
Tina, how long did we date before I proposed to you? I mean, the first time.
Not very long.
I can't. She won't tell the truth on that, so I'm not going to ask her.
I'm sure there's other details in that story that my wife Callie could say, and I mean, I'd be interested in having you interview her too. So
yeah, and we will actually. It was something that came up, with Kiowa.
Oh yeah.
I started just thinking, well, I love my nieces and nephews, but I also love who they're married to. So we're going to interview everybody. If anybody who wants to. There are people who don't want to, and that's understandable.
So then my next question is have you met my wife Callie? Do you know who she is or what she looks like?
I could not tell you right now what she looks like, but I know that I met her, and in fact, I know she told me the story of playing for Big Bend.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because that rings a bell. I was thinking, okay, I know somebody else that played for Big Bend. Then I'm thinking, no, I bet it was Callie.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so yeah. So if I saw her at a Walmart, I could probably tell you, you're related to me somehow.
Who are you?
Yeah.
Awesome, good stuff. So yeah, that's how we met.
We'll get her on one of these, though. We'll get her on one of these, because the family needs to know who she is. Cole Bowers coming on tomorrow night.
Sweet.
Yeah, we're gonna get him, and he jumped that. He wanted to do it. So actually he approached me. which is the way I prefer it, because then they won't miss. They won't miss
There you go. Yep.
I had a bad weekend. I probably told you this, but oh my gosh, it was so rough because, you know, this is just family, just doing family stuff. It's not, there's no actual television program. There's no, this isn't on the radio, right? So there's no money involved. So if you tell me, my juice is the interview. So if you tell me you're going to be there,
I'm doing it.
Do not cancel on me, because I've got a very thin skin, and
I can't handle the rejection.
That's right. So I think there was you and one other. I was just like, hey, I got to take a break. I got to reevaluate what's going on here, you know. But no, but I'm glad we're back, and awesome. I got some good feedback from some people too, which also helped. You know, like, oh no, don't stop. So yeah, we'll keep going. I'll get over myself.
Well, the problem is I want to hear more about you. Like I said earlier, I don't think I've had a real conversation with you for quite a while, so I want to listen.
Well,
I want to know.
I told Vard that I would open myself up vulnerably when these are all done, but I want to put a condition on it, because I want everybody to watch these videos. So the condition I want to put on it is not that there's that much about me that's so interesting, but I'll tell you anything you want to know after everybody that I've interviewed has 100 views.
Oh,
which isn't bad, because like Vard's got 176 or something.
And Wes has like 140 or 100. He's over 100, right?
Yeah, it's doable.
This is my next thought is, what about we just set up a panel and interview you at the family reunion?
That would be interesting. That would be interesting. You know, did you guys go see the Lamb of God?
I haven't yet.
I'm going to be, you might've heard me talk about it a little bit on one of the interviews, but it's definitely an acquired taste, because it's not like anything you've ever seen before. They're basically filming a concert.
Oh.
So you see the emotion in the singers' faces, and they're singing about the life of Christ. They're telling the story through song, but it's basically a big symphony hall, and there's a quartet, or there's a whole orchestra. And so the camera is basically moving around, or they got multiple camera setups, and it is really cool, but there's no acting per se. Oh. Right? So where was I going with this? What were we talking about right before that?
The panel.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, so I started when I started thinking how fun it would be, since this is so effective, especially like this, right? Doing interviews and stuff, that we could get, I don't know, I was looking at my settings earlier. I can have like 48 people on here at the same time or something. You put them in a grid pattern, right? And we could do, if we had any talent in the family, you know, but you know, because I was thinking about the way they did that Lamb of God thing, and how cool it would be to do something that involved the whole family in multiple windows, and maybe it's a parts thing where they do where we do a play, or we do a reading of something in church history or something like that. And I still think I'm going to move forward with that idea, because, and we can do your thing too. That would be really fun. I don't know. You know, is it Jeopardy? Which one is the game show that has all the people in the blocks? Oh, is that?
Oh, no, I can't remember what it's called, but I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, that would be fun too, to play it live. But I don't know. I think what's going to end up happening is, you know, there'll be questions in some way or another at the reunion. I don't really know yet. I haven't talked to Michaela about this yet, but you know, questions about people that were going to come from the interviews.
Yeah.
And which is good, because that just means it'll kind of, I don't know if I want to use the word force, but it will encourage people to watch the videos. What just happened? These things, I got these things because they lasted 40 hours or something, but and they come with little earpieces, but I cannot get them to stay in my little tiny ears.
Oh, man. But overall, I'm just excited that we'll have the chance to know more about everybody when we are going to the family reunion because of these videos, because of these interviews. And I think it'll just spark, a lot more, I say camaraderie within the family, but just getting to know people more and then having the chance to then expound upon our conversations.
Yeah, I agree. It was sort of unanticipated on my part, but both Case and Tyra had, they kind of threw me some kudos in that what we're doing with these interviews essentially is we are building families.
Yep.
We're supporting the family by knowing and loving each other more,
Yep, absolutely. I mean, I even had the thought today, I love my wife's family a lot too. And I had the thought I needed to, approach her about doing something like this because of her grandma and grandpa that are starting to get up in age. And, they're not going to always have the memories that they have or be able to recall the memories as well as they probably can now about their sons and daughters, their grandchildren, so on and so forth. So,
I think the reason people haven't done that in the past is because there's the whole, you got to set up the cameras and you got to do this and that and the recording equipment. And, but with Zoom, it's all taken care of.
You can do it in a split second.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can record it, and then you can have both you and your loved one, whoever they are.
Yep.
And then you can put it anywhere you want.
Yeah.
Right. You can post it anywhere you want. So that's a good idea. You should do it. You should go for it.
I'll probably reach out, or I'd like to do it from my wife's, I guess, give her the opportunity to do it rather than me coming forward and being like, hey, I think your family should do this. So I'll mention.
Well, I tried to get Tina to do this too, but she wouldn't do it. So
yeah, but you've been in the family a lot longer than I have with my in-laws and whatnot. So
that's true.
Got to be in the good graces.
That's true. I'm not uncomfortable with. Well, am I not uncomfortable with anyone? There's probably a few people I'm uncomfortable with, but not because of anything bad. Just well, for example, I mean, I'm hoping that I'm able to interview all of Ivan and Corette's girls.
Yep.
But I know them even less than anyone else. So, they first of all, they have to be comfortable enough with me to even talk to me.
Yep.
Or even agree to do the interview. So I'm glad that you're doing it.
Sorry, I've been jumping around a little bit. You probably got.
Oh no, I do too. And actually, I think it makes it interesting. I do. I think coming and going on different subjects makes it interesting. Good. So tell me, I think you might be doing it, but what are your dreams? I mean, when we think about you as a family, what is it that you want to be doing in the next 5 or 10 years? Professionally, and then how many kids do you guys want to end up having? I think you got 2 now, right?
Just 1.
You got 1. Okay.
Just 1.
See, I wouldn't have known that.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go. So
what dreams?
Within the next 5 years, kind of small and big goals or dreams?
Yeah. Because okay, let me tell you why I'm asking you.
Yeah.
You're going to turn around in about 2 seconds, and you're going to be 54 years old.
I don't want to ask this, but is that how old you are?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. But I know that with my golden locks, I only look like I'm about 30. So, and my white, it's gone now. I shaved it off, but my white beard gives me away. Yep. Yeah. So 5 years and then 10 years, and
So I don't think I've told too many people this plan.
Oh, you are now.
I am now. So everybody's going to know. But my wife and I are looking to move to Idaho at some point in the next couple of years.
Which part?
Probably southern Idaho.
Okay.
Probably around Twin Falls area.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we would like to be. I mean, anywhere Boise south is probably where we would like to be around. We want to be closer to some of her family.
Yeah.
But then.
And where do they all mostly hail from?
Soda Springs, and then which is down near Lava Hot Springs.
I know that. That's God's country up there, man. That's like Ponderosa country.
It's beautiful. It really is. So, but then a lot of her aunts and uncles and grandma and grandpa are in Utah. And you think about, Jason, Kim, Kendall, and Chance, they're both in Utah as well. Which is sad to say, my parents and Taryn are the only ones here in Washington. But I think that's one of our big goals here in the next, couple years. I would even say earlier than 5. Professionally, I will probably still be doing some type of crop advisor role, whether that's with this company, which hopefully gives me the opportunity to transfer down to another branch there in Idaho and still work for them. They have great benefits, great culture, and I like the company. So, and then also just developing this other consulting business that I have with Brandon. I think that is something that I would like to start developing more. Brandon has more of the knowledge because of his background in dealing with dairies in the past than I do. I probably have more of the education and hands-on experience with nutrients and how they work in soils and crops. So we have different, but what's the right word to use? Our talents line up well with each other. Or
you're complementary.
Exactly, we're complementary. So, developing that business, growing it, I think it could be really, really big. And then with growing, we bring on more help and whatnot. So, I'd like to expand that. Like I said earlier, it's on my bucket list to go to Alaska. Like, within the next 5 years, I plan on going to Alaska probably for a caribou hunt.
Cool.
Family will probably be 3 to 4 kids. The next 10 years, I think we want to, I never want to put a limit on how many kids we have, but I think we've talked about being around the 3 or 4 kids range.
Yeah.
So, what else do you want to know?
Everything. Well, I think that's a good.
I would not be surprised if my wife is still coaching. I mean, she's an assistant coach here at Big Bend right now. If we moved to Idaho, I would guess that she would probably jump on the opportunity of coaching at a high school of some sort. So she comes from a coaching background with her dad being a coach for a long time there in Soda Springs and whatnot. So she has that in her blood. So,
well, that's a good area to go to down there too. I've got an uncle Bud that they still have a place. He's passed away, but they're in Burley.
Yeah.
And then family, even all the way up through Preston, that area, which it's all ag, of some sort. Whenever I've driven that area though, from Preston to Soda Springs, I've always thought this is like an undiscovered paradise. If people knew what this was, this is going to fill up with houses so fast, it's going to be sick.
I think it's starting to get kind of in the early stages of that, which you don't want it to be in some respects.
Yeah. No, it can be bad, but it's going to be terrible if in 20 years the only good place to move to is California.
Oh no.
Because everybody's moved out.
Idaho.
Well, okay, so I won't make you wait for an interview for this, but we also are planning to move to Idaho.
Really?
But we've planned it for a long time.
Now, have you settled on a place?
No, we're looking for ground that's free, and no, that's right. No, we want to build just a small place. I'm sort of into the tiny house movement, but I'm not into the whole trailer idea, you know.
Yep.
But I just love Spirit Lake, where Ivan and Terry are now.
Yeah.
And but really anything up in the Panhandle is beautiful to me. I don't particularly think of Southern Idaho as a place I wanted to settle unless I get up into the hills. And but there's hills all over down there with pine trees and whatnot. Because
Yeah.
I don't particularly find potato fields all that beautiful. That's just me. But
Well, that's the thing that I enjoy. You still have a variety down in the southern part of Idaho where you look more towards the mountains, probably.
yeah, yeah. I
That's
think
good.
even Beck has a cabin somewhere up above Preston.
Uh-huh.
But if you ever driven, you've been through Preston, I'm sure. There was a thing there. I did a study on this for one of my college classes at BYU. I did a study on the Bear River Massacre.
Okay.
And that happened just there north of Preston, where a bunch of the Indian folks were slaughtered there on a winter morning. But that whole area is so full of history, and you know, we used to go to, you know, your grandpa was buried down there in Dayton for a long time.
Yep.
Before we brought him up here to the new cemetery. But there's some little cemeteries down there that sort of fallen into disrepair. But if you're into history at all, it's fascinating to stop and hike up to some of those places. They have most of them surrounded with chain link fence.
Yeah.
Maybe it's broken down or whatnot, but I find that kind of stuff really cool. But that's all over anywhere where the LDS folks were sent to settle,
Yep.
you know. Yep. So Southern Idaho, Twin Falls area, lots of dairies down there too, right?
Yep, and that's part of the reason why, probably.
Yeah.
Be involved with that.
And then her family is in Soda Springs. Does she have family up through Twin also?
No. Her
Okay.
sister plays basketball at College of Southern Idaho right now. They're in Twin Falls.
Perfect.
But we'll see. I mean, we may not be down there by the time she's done playing or whatever. But
so it's driving distance, but still far enough that people can't just pop in 10 minutes.
Yeah. Something that I've always felt, and I think I've heard it multiple times through education, but also from the church. I like having traditions within my family that have been passed on, but I also want to make a life for my own family outside of everybody else. So,
I'm reading between the lines there. You said it without saying it, but you do need your own traditions too. Yeah. I mean, you know, and I understand. I get that, man. I'm glad you're doing it because, and this isn't like to wax all I'm a victim or anything, but you know, my family's all down in Utah, and you know, a son's a son till he takes a wife, but a daughter's a daughter for the rest of her life, right? So we've lived up here the entire time, and I miss it, and I do feel like it. While I love the traditions of the Taylor family and the things we do, I do feel like it sort of took away from our opportunity to develop our own thing.
Yep, I agree.
But we made those choices, and you know, I could have put my foot down, maybe, and not get beaten up by my wife, but
get a pan to the forehead.
That's right. So good. Well, that's cool. Now, and she's all on board. She loves it.
Yep. I mean, she's been a big perpetuator for that. I think, especially recently. She knows that I love her family, and I don't think it's the good thing that I guess with my work, it allows me to be flexible with my time, and so I do have the opportunity to go and visit family. You know, when we have the chance to go to Spirit Lake for, a few days, we take that chance. And so I don't feel if we were to move to Idaho that it would be taking away from, being with my family, but it'll just take more effort to make sure that I, try to be with my mom and dad, my brothers and sisters when those opportunities come up.
And you'll do it. I mean, I can make Cache Valley in 10 hours. I mean,
Yeah.
so from there, you should be able to hit up here in 7 or 8 hours, I would think.
Yep. Well, I've driven that road so many times I can almost do it with my eyes closed. And that's probably not a good thing.
Yeah. No, that'll be great. Yeah. I just feel like everybody's kind of moving Idaho way. Mm-hmm. And except, like Darian will probably always be in Spokane, knock on wood. Because the guy that she's dating and we think she'll probably marry, but we don't know. Yeah. Carlin will probably be here because he's knee deep in farming now.
I know. That's awesome.
Yeah. And doing very well. I think he's just about at the point where he could probably, I think he said the other day that he was almost at the point where he was ready to expand a little bit. So we'll see how that goes. He, of course, doesn't like being talked about, so we won't talk about that. But not until it's, I see that's the biggest. The biggest challenge isn't going to be interviewing my nieces and nephews. It's going to be interviewing my own kids.
How do you do that?
I don't know, because I don't think they won't talk to me now. I don't know how they're going to talk to me on. What are you giving me a dirty look? Wait, hold on. Got to clarify. Why I'm getting a dirty look? What's going on?
Maybe you need to. I don't know. Maybe you need to have Aunt Tina do the interviewing, and maybe they'll talk to her.
We tried that. Actually, you watched the cemetery video. I actually thought that the cemetery video would be more effective if she did all of the narration, but she was really, and I want her to grow in this area because she was having a challenge. In order to be really effective at this kind of stuff, I think that it's got to come from your heart. You have to feel it. You can't read a script and make it sound something that's compelling, something that people really want to watch. And for whatever reason, she was having a bit of a challenge with that, and kind of, the only way she's going to overcome it is by practicing, right? And so maybe you're right. Maybe she does need to do some interviews.
I love she's that
pretending.
She's right there, I can hear everything.
Yeah, but she's pretending like she can't. Oh, she just looked up. Yeah, I know you're listening. Don't even act like you're not. Don't even act like you're not listening. No, so that's why. So I jumped in and we did the narration piece together on that, and I think it was effective. But I thought coming from Aunt Tina, it would have been really perfect.
Yeah, I got you. Well, I really liked it. I thought it was great. So
okay, so what I want to know about Kirk is what. Well, there's a couple of things that are piquing my interest about what you think about yourself.
Oh.
What do you feel is your greatest championship? What do you think you've really conquered that you're really proud of, or that you're really pleased with? Something about yourself.
It's funny you mentioned that because I had the answer immediately after you asked the question. And it's the way that I have changed myself. I used to be very, very shy. It's probably not known by very many people. Like in high school, junior high, I stuck to my couple friends. Was deathly afraid of any type of focus on me, especially if I had to get up in front of a classroom or be put on the spot. But the thing that I have, I can't say conquered, but the thing that I have changed about myself is not being shy anymore. I am so grateful that I was able to serve a mission, and that's where that change came from.
Oh, good.
I can definitely pinpoint that to, or that being the reason why I was able to change.
That's a good one.
Hmm.
Um, your shyness sort of reminded me a little bit of, or I'm sorry, Gage's
Yeah.
shyness sort of reminded me a little bit of your type of shyness. It was not that there was, it's just sort of a, what do you attribute that to? Or do you know, have you got any thought to it?
Um, I don't know if I can attribute it to anything specific. I think it was, I think part of it was that I was wanting to be respectful.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, that was something that was taught and taught to us at a very young age to be respectful. And I thought if I spoke up, or was a little bit more outgoing in some respects, that I wasn't being respectful. So um,
And then
that's probably
sometimes, yeah, I think we've had lots of discussions like this in our family too. I think sometimes parents do their best, and I speak for myself here, you do your best and you don't even realize all the ways that you're failing, or the ways that your teaching is being misunderstood. Because I know obviously your parents didn't want you to be shy, but they did want you to be respectful, which you guys are. I mean, you guys got a great family. So it's awesome. I guess I would ask you, by the way, that's a great one that you've overcome there. And I'm going to come back to a different side of that question in a second, which you can probably anticipate. But what's something that you would say to your sisters? What bit of advice would you give Kendall and Taryn if they were to? It's a challenge because would they listen? I don't know. But I think you guys seem like you love each other a lot, and you have that kind of relationship. What kind of things would you say to them?
I don't know if I would even say anything, because I don't feel like I have enough knowledge or understanding to give that type of um, that type of something to them. But for sake of putting something out there, I would say, just be yourself. And the reason I say that is because they both have very strong personalities, and I don't think they're afraid of being themselves. But I think they overthink situations, like most women do. They tend to think a lot, and overanalyze. Not that that's bad. They want to
No,
make sure that they're doing the right thing, probably. And so I would just encourage them. The advice that I would give is just be yourself. Don't think twice about that type of thing.
I understand your hesitancy. Actually, I
Yeah.
found myself, I don't know what was going on. There was a family meeting or something, and I found myself watching the big screen TV in your dad and mom's basement. And unbeknownst to me, Taryn was there.
Yeah.
And I mean, we had a great chat, but I felt like I think I'm going to leave it at I think I was glad that I left it at just a great chat, because I felt like saying more. And ironically, I felt like Taryn was very open to it.
Yeah.
There was no hesitancy. There was no, she wasn't embarrassed. She wasn't shy about talking to me. In fact, she was a bundle of joy, I found. But I found myself like thinking about things I was going to say, and then like, don't say that. It's not your place. You don't even know her. You don't even know her well enough to say anything like that, But everything in my mind was, okay, so in my mind, I think that people have goals that are the same as everybody else's. And what you have to realize is that they don't. And especially in the church, we have to be really sensitive to the fact that even though we're all raised in a similar fashion, we're going through our probationary states in different ways, and we have different things we want to accomplish.
Yep.
And sometimes I think we put too much pressure on each other to conform and to be like everybody else, or to be like the ideal Mormon, when really what is the ideal LDS person, right? Or Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints member? Is there one? I don't think there is. I think it's just somebody who wants to love.
I agree. And I think you look at the ultimate model, yes, we're supposed to be like Christ, but nobody can be Christ. And so everybody's different. Everybody has the opportunity to work on themselves in their own way. And I think, I think you realize also that when I had said, be yourself about my sisters, Kendall and Taryn are both very different. Taryn, I would say, is more passive. Kendall is definitely more aggressive and willing to go and do something. So I guess you probably realize that about them.
Yeah. And I was going to, exactly. That's exactly right. Because I was going to throw out some advice that I had no right of throwing out, but I was making assumptions about what her goals are. I don't know what her goals are. I'm going to find out if she'll interview with me.
Yeah.
But in that environment, I can tell you this much. In that environment, we were by ourselves for probably, I would say, close to an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And it was very enjoyable time. Very enjoyable. And she was, I don't know how good of an actor she is or whatnot, but she was acting very happy. And I didn't want to leave the conversation. It was great.
I think I think that's how Taryn is. If you get her in a one-on-one setting, she will eat that up. Not in a selfish kind of way. That's just how she likes to interact.
Yeah, she's a great woman.
Yep.
I think she's got a great future. She's had some challenges, I'm going to talk to her about those. And I'm sure that let me ask you this. This is how it applies to you, maybe. When you found out about some of her challenges, what kind of thought processes were going through your mind? I'm talking about the physical challenges.
Yeah. I mean, when we found out that she had cancer, it was a shock. That's probably cliche.
Well, she's so young. I mean, we were shocked too.
When she got it, I think she was 34.
Yeah.
And so you find out that your 34-year-old sister has cancer, and I get emotional about it.
Yeah.
Because that's rough. That's hard. But I remember conversing with her the first couple times in the beginning stages of her treatments and going through that. And I can't remember the exact line. I would have to go back through my text messages. But there's a line from
that narrows it down to about 50.
I'd have to find it, and I might look at my phone as we're talking.
Yeah, and actually, what we'll do for sake of the interview is I'll just put it up on screen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Once we'll discover what it is, and I'll put it up.
So let me look here. I hope I did not delete it.
Yeah, find it, because I can cut up. Well, if you can't find it, it's okay. I'll just cut out the dead space.
Yeah, but I mean,
no big deal.
Basically, it was just me reaffirming to her my love for her and that she can do anything. Even her struggles, she'll be able to overcome.
For sure. I watched your parents through that though, and your parents are tough. They've got, but I could also see the tenderness there and the feelings that were really close to the surface. And for the rest of us, not inside the inner family, not expressed and probably shouldn't be, but I felt for them. I'm glad that the progress that's been made. So that's good.
I remember the movie. It's Captain Marvel.
Okay.
That's the one about the girl, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a line in there talking about how, I don't want to butcher it.
Just
So,
paraphrase it.
well, just that um, a woman can do anything. So I told her that, and I think she had just recently watched it too. And I really liked that. I kind of broke down when I had heard that during the movie and texted
Yeah.
it to her immediately. I think I was still in the theater and, texted it to her like, "Hey, I want you to know that I'm thinking of her, but I want you to know that I'm thinking of you." But
I think
yeah,
I think
no,
that
those were some of
it might
my
be called having a prayer in your heart.
yeah, probably. I mean, it was hard because I didn't know what to say. A lot of the times I struggle for those type of words or those type of emotions and how to express them to somebody that you love when they're going through something hard. Um, but I think she knew what I was trying to say and what I meant. But most of all, I mean, I could just I could just tell that my love for her grew when I found that out, and to know that she was going to be all right was or is just a great blessing in our family.
Oh man. I remember, well, obviously my goal with this is to get closer to everybody, but I remember feeling awful, like
Mhm.
just emotional. I cried only because, I've been through some physical things and I've been through enough of them now that I feel like saying, and this is going to sound stupid. I feel like saying, look, give it to me. Let me carry that load because she's so young. Let it's just, it would be one more thing I have to deal with. Not a big deal. Let me deal with it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it would have been a big deal, but in retrospect, I don't think I could have dealt with it as good as she did. But I didn't know what to do. So I mean, I wrote her a couple of cards. I mean, one of them I remember saying, Taryn, I don't even know what to say to you about, and that's the awkward thing. So the only thing I can tell you is that I'm thinking about you and that we remember you in our prayers, and just know that there are people out here who care and who are thinking about you and rooting for you. And we know you got a battle ahead, but you'll conquer, but I felt inadequate. I felt so, but I know, but I know she appreciated the card because she said so, she told me that she did. So, but
It's I had a lot of those same feelings in it. And I'm glad you're able to express them better than I can because it then allows me to then relay that, I feel the same way or I felt the same way.
yeah. Well, so getting back to you,
Yep.
what do you feel are your, this is a challenge, but what do you feel are your biggest failures, or what do you feel are things that you still intend to conquer?
Um, my biggest fails and definitely the things that I need to conquer are my understanding of the gospel.
Really?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
Um, I would love to be more knowledgeable of it. I mean, you mentioned earlier about the history of a certain place or just the history of like the Bear River and
Preston area, yeah.
the Preston area. I love history as well. I can remember taking a couple church history classes at BYU Idaho, and I just loved them. I loved hearing the information, loved hearing the
Mhm.
stories, and that's something that I would love to do and find out more about, um, just to be able to relay some of those to other people,
Yeah.
and more importantly, probably just to further my testimony, strengthen my testimony. Um, I don't feel that I need that information for convincing somebody of the truth of the gospel. I think it's more for my own education. So that's something that I would say I don't do well enough now. My wife is very good at reminding us that we need to read the scriptures, and that we do well at saying family prayers and all those type of things. But um, I can tell that uh, I need to do better at studying the gospel of the church.
Mm.
So
President Holland, I think, said he's talking about parents with kids, but he basically said, don't develop a flirting relationship with apostasy,
hmm
because flirting has an uncanny way of developing into full-blown romance.
hmm.
So on the one hand, we have our agency to question, we have our agency to look at things, but you have to do it from a faithful perspective.
Gotcha.
Like, for example, I've never really, as an example, I've never really had a problem with polygamy. I know it's more of a problem for women when they start studying it, or even 128, that is still in there. There might be challenges with why we're not practicing things now or whatnot, but that doesn't concern me. Because even at his worst, I try to think of Joseph in context and what was going on at the time and the questions that he asked. And you probably know this already intrinsically, but when you consider that almost every section of the Doctrine and Covenants was a result of a question,
hmm
it sort of gives rise to the need for prayer. Heavenly Father wants us to ask. He wants to bless us, I'm convinced, but he wants us to ask. Because there have been many times when I thought, you already know.
hmm
What do you know? But he's our Father, and it's just like, and you'll learn this too. Like your dad loves, I guarantee you, loves to hear from you and the other kids. Loves it. My mom too, right?
Yep.
They love when you ask questions. They love when you give feedback. Well, I don't think it's any different with our Heavenly Father.
Oh yeah. I don't think I again, like you said before, I know that, but I just haven't been reminded of it and
Yeah.
haven't realized that for quite a while.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's the whole purpose of us talking tonight.
Yeah, there you go. I like it. No, I
Oh,
think that's like you have told in multiple interviews. The purpose of these is or you asked that we become vulnerable, and I feel like that is definitely one of my vulnerabilities, and that's something that I need to be able to strengthen and do better at is studying the gospel of the church, for sure.
well, brother, I think unless you have your calling and election made sure, I think you're always going to have those slivers of thoughts. You wouldn't be mortality without them. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
absolutely.
If you knew everything, there'd be no reason for faith.
Yep. Yep. I would say that, I haven't had my faith tried in a while. I haven't had the flicker of doubt. I know that my testimony is strong where it's at right now. But like you say, we're never going to be perfect. We never have that calling an election made sure until the last days. So,
well, I guess for me, it's and maybe I shouldn't do this. I make somewhat of a distinction. It's not a hard distinction, but there's somewhat of a distinction between my relationship with Heavenly Father and the church in some way. And it's going to sound bad. It's going to sound worse than I mean it to sound. But, like I don't separate the two necessarily, but one is run by men, and my relationship with my Heavenly Father is just a relationship between He and I. In some ways, not that the church is a club or anything, but in some ways, it is God's church. It is Heavenly Father's church on the earth. The power to act in His name resides in the keys that the brethren hold. And so, I mean, and that is what it is. And we all know that. We all learned that before and during and after our missions. And I know that. However, I do, and they acknowledge this too. It's interesting. They acknowledge this too, that a prophet's only a prophet when he is being a prophet, and otherwise he's a man, and he is subject to, in fact, I remember let me remember who this was. You probably heard this in one of the interviews too, but I heard a member of the leadership of the church say that you can always, because they don't assign general conference talks, that you can always tell what a man is struggling with by the things that he chooses to teach.
Yeah.
Because he's studying them, right?
Yep.
And I remember having some challenges on my mission, and I remember asking, we had Elder Neil Maxwell that came to our mission for a tri-zone conference, and I was able to talk to him one time and told him something I was being challenged with. And I remember him being really matter of fact with me, and this is probably why I like being matter of fact with my cousins, my nephews and nieces.
Yep.
Because he said to me, Elder, how many days of the year do you think an apostle's on the road? And I said, well, I probably have no idea. And his answer was something along the lines of, a lot.
Too much.
He said, do you think in all of that time, even though we are apostles of and special witnesses of our Heavenly Father and Jesus Christ, do you think that we don't go through temptation? And I said, I guess I hadn't thought about it. He's like, well, think about it. You're not alone in going through temptation. The key is learning over the course of your life how to overcome it. And that's one of my purposes with this too. It started out with just nephews. It's difficult to talk sometimes with females about this stuff. And hopefully you sisters who are listening to this understand that I'm going to ask you vulnerable questions, but it is uncomfortable for me to even ask. But I want my nephews, my brothers, my brother-in-laws, I want the members of my ward, Vintage Park Ward Elders Quorum, I want us to be able to be vulnerable with each other to the point where just you can't put yourself above other people. You can't assume that you've got it figured out. And so you can condemn somebody else for something that they're going through or something they're struggling with, when really, if we're going to be brethren, we need to understand we all have struggles. Nobody's perfect, and we're going to go through things, and we're going to fail sometimes. And in those times are the times when the spiritual help can really come, because it's in those times when people don't need to have a stone thrown at them. They need somebody to put their arm around them and lift them up. And I want to be that for my nephews. And quite frankly, I want my nephews to be that for me. Because I've got my struggles too. I'm no different. Just a little bit old, which means I'm a little dumber, right? It's like, okay, you're 54. You'd think you'd have this stuff figured out, but
no, not the case.
I remember listening to your dad one time. I won't give away the name, but I remember I remember you guys had all gone on some trip somewhere, some camping trip, and the brother that had gone with you had said something like, "Yeah, I had a challenge keeping these boys away from the girls wherever it was you went." I don't know where it was you went, and I remember your dad looking at him and saying, "We had a hard enough time keeping you away from the girls." I always thought that was funny.
Oh gosh.
But to me, that showed. There's one other thing your dad said one time too. He's going to hate that I'm even talking about this probably, but I love this. I love this about your dad because he said, anybody who thinks that I would choose. Well, now I'm going to paraphrase. If I try to quote it, it's going to be wrong. Let me just rephrase it. Let me phrase it this way.
Gotcha.
Your dad basically reiterated that anybody who thinks he would choose anything over a friendship doesn't know him very well. And I that's always stuck with me. I always thought that was cool.
Yeah.
One other thing he did, and he'll watch this, he's given me some feedback too, but
awesome.
When I first married Tina, he came, oh my gosh, it was so funny. He came by and loaded me up in the truck, and it was the old white truck with the super cab, I think. I think that's what he was driving at the time. And he's like, "Come on, I need your help." You know. And I grew up on a farm, so whatever, no big deal.
Yeah.
So but he took me out and wanted to see if I knew anything about how to turn a wrench, or we worked on a stupid circle or something. I think we changed a sprinkler head or something. And and then when this is before we got married, and then when we got married, your dad, these are some cool things I think about your dad, which things I'd like to emulate. But when you get married, all the gifts are for the wife, everything, or the household, right? And so it's like, okay, whatever. Well, so your dad gives me a special gift because all the presents he knew were going to go for the woman. So he gave me a set of jumper cables. Which it was cool. It was cool. I mean, I thought it was cool.
Back then, jumper cables were probably more expensive than they are now, though.
Oh, I'm sure that they were. Yeah. I know I hadn't bought any yet. Yeah. So that, that could be why. But now your dad, there's lots of little cool anecdotes like that about your dad that that you remind me of a lot.
I want to hear some maybe I don't know how long you're wanting to go with this interview, but I don't know. I just love hearing those type of things about my dad. And just maybe it's because I've gotten to know a lot of the people in the farming community that have known him growing up and all these different things. And they often tell me, "You look so much like your dad. You remind me so much of your dad." And I always want to ask, like, well, in what way? How? But
it's mannerisms, it's the way you turn your head, the way you toss your head when you laugh, very much like your dad. Your smile is very much like your dad's.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't look like your dad to me. You got your own look, but things like how much your dad likes to have it blacked out when he's trying to sleep. Just dorky things like that. One thing that I think is a good thing to emulate about your dad is he doesn't put on airs. I've never known him to be fake about anything. In fact, he's the first person I know up here that will he's the first person to recognize our foibles and smile and be like, "Yeah, okay, you probably shouldn't have done that," Yeah. But he's not fake.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah, he's a real guy, and I think now your mom, on the other hand, I'm just kidding.
Growing up in Vegas, No,
it's a fun relationship. We didn't hang out with those guys very much. They had their own friends with epics and whatnot, but it's always been a fun association. And he's always the first one whenever, this is something you can emulate too, even though you're fighting off some shyness, but he's always the first one when you go to a family gathering. He's the first one to say, "Hey, how you doing?" First one to make you feel welcome, no matter who you are, right? Because you don't ever know really what somebody's feeling on the inside.
Yep.
So there'll be other anecdotes we'll share as we go forward, I'm sure.
Yep.
I'll think of some other things too for when at some point in the future and you guys want to ask me questions, but but he's a good guy. He's not a fakeroo. And if I did know a fakeroo, I probably wouldn't tell you, but
there you go. Quick question.
But he's real. Yeah.
Can I move to a different location? Because I'm in my what do we call it? I'm in my son's bedroom. He needs to go to bed.
Well, I'll tell you what, you can, but let's move to a new location just for the wrap up then. Go ahead and move.
Okay. Maybe just a minute. Thanks.
We're close to being done, but I know what it's like when you need to get somebody to bed.
Yeah, he's probably about 15 minutes past his bedtime. All right. Oh, sorry about that.
Oh, no problem. I waxed too long.
Well, it's been great. I mean, I just have loved hearing all your advice and wish, like I said, I would love to hear more stories about my dad and more of the ideas that. As
long as you promise not to ever say that I ever gave you any advice again, because I'm the wrong person to give advice.
Hey, do you want to say hi?
Hey, how are you?
Good job. This is Hudson. Hudson, this is Uncle Tim.
Hi, Hudson. Yeah, I like your name too. Look at you. Look like you're ready to go hunting already.
He doesn't just get that from me. He probably gets it from his grandpas too. I know.
I
know.
We're gonna go tonight.
We're almost done. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just gonna have your dad wrap up with the last. Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Can you say night night? Good night.
Night night.
Bye bye.
Night night.
I'm excited to hear all this interview questions.
Yeah.
Oh well, we've been digging in deep into your husband's psyche, so. Now, all right. So let's do this. Let's close this out because actually we have been about an hour and a half. So to close this out, I'm going to ask you the same question. What have I not asked you that you wanted to talk about, or what is something else you want to say to the people who will view this, which primarily will be cousins and nephews and aunts and uncles, but we're putting it out there public, so the likelihood is lots of people will over time.
Well, depends on how many people you know. But are you still recording? Are you good?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I said my internet connection was unstable.
No, I'm good. I got you solid.
Give me just a second. Coco Melon's playing in the background.
Okay. I can't hear it, but.
Well, I just wanted to make sure. Sorry, you're going to have to edit a little bit.
That's all right. I have to edit all of them.
Yeah. Okay. So honestly, I don't think there's anything that I wish we would have talked about. I've thoroughly enjoyed.
Sorry, I'm just feeling that funny.
Yeah. Why?
Honestly, Uncle Tim, I think we touched on every subject known to man. There's no
not that. Well, I guess what I was saying is, it's been cool to go about this format.
I agree.
I went in to this knowing, that you wanted me to be vulnerable, that you wanted me to be honest in my answers. And so I had no preconceived things that I wanted to talk about. I didn't have anything that I was looking forward to talking about other than, maybe my family. So I'm glad that we touched on a lot of them. Maybe my brothers, maybe that, thinking about it at just, now is, the subject of my brothers wasn't brought up really. But I want to maybe, I guess, mention at this point that, I love all my brothers a lot. Not that I don't love my sisters any less.
There's a special bond between brothers.
It's so true, especially when you grow up with, 3 of them playing baseball in the front yard. when you're supposed to be working in the garden on Saturdays. And Stacy's yelling at you, get over here, get your work done. And we're just out there wanting to play baseball in the front yard. I mean, for hours and hours, setting up lights on top of the house when it gets dark on Sundays. And
oh yeah, you guys were crazy.
We just, I make it a point now, especially, with hunting. And Jace does really well at this and at trying to involve us and the boys in the family on doing some of those things. And I hope that I will always have that capability. It's time to stop, but I hope that it's long into my 70s and 80s so I can enjoy that time with my brothers, honestly.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's one thing that I think I guess I would have liked to have maybe talked a little bit more about, and then hopefully we'll get that chance again.
Yeah, we will.
What else? What was the other part of your question?
Well, you sort of talked to them already, but what else would you want people to hear from you? What else would you share about yourself, or, for example, other people who are going to do interviews? How would you tell them to prepare for the interview?
I almost want to say don't prepare.
Yeah. That's actually good advice.
Honestly, I feel like it is the best way to have heartfelt answers. Now, not everybody is willing to do that and as polished as they would like to be in order to answer it like that. Not saying that I'm polished in any way, but I'm able to answer some of those questions because I wasn't thinking of something directly beforehand. So don't prepared to open your heart, do what you feel or say what you feel is necessary. I don't think I'll bear my testimony like Drew did, or Drew's definitely more of the spiritual man. He is very in tune with the spirit, and I love that about him. Something that I need to work on. But if somebody wants to know something about me, I guess I would say that I'm always willing to help. I think with the line of work that I'm in, I don't like the consulting. I just like the helping. I want to either make people's lives easier or provide something for them that will bring value to their lives. So
probably why you'll be successful at the consulting thing.
Yeah, well, we'll see. But overall, I don't consider myself knowledgeable than anybody else. More knowledgeable. I consider myself more willing to help. So that's what I hope I can do. That's what I want people to know about me, and my love for my family and for my Savior in this gospel, honestly.
I think you say that with actually, I've always thought this, and we've talked about this with other interviews too, but you say it better with the way you live than words. Because words, we can all say the words, and sometimes the words start to sound a little cheap until they're put into action.
Yep.
So what's that for? Yeah, teach the gospel, and if necessary, use words.
Yep.
So I've actually encouraged people to let's bear our testimonies in this thing in the way we treat each other.
I like it.
Yeah. So.
I really like that. And I think that's also one thing that my parents taught us at a very young age. You don't have to say something. You need to. You're better off trying to teach by example. So.
Oh, good.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. I will say this though. I don't know exactly what it is tonight because we were with each other for an hour and a half, but I want to know you better. I want to know you better
I
than
want
I
to know
do.
you better too.
I feel like we just kind of scratched the surface tonight, but it's one of those things where, you get the first round in and it gives you a chance to think and maybe you're more comfortable with each other. And so when another round comes around, it'll be even easier to just talk openly, So, but I do know this. I do know that I love you.
I love you too.
I do. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we wish and pray for your success and for your mostly for your happiness.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Tell Aunt Tina that I said I love her too.
I will.
All right.
I'll show her the video.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
Talk to you later.
All right. We'll see you later.
All right. Bye.
I mean, all right. We'll see you later.
All right. Bye.